Welcome to the MFR Coaches podcast, where we talk about how you can create a six-figure MFR practice. I'm your host, Heather Hommel. Not only have I been practicing MFR for 11 years, I'm also a life and business coach, especially for MFR therapists. My goal is for you to understand how to get fully booked, how to talk to your clients, and how to make sure they understand what's possible for them with MFR treatment. I'm here to help you stop under-earning, overworking, and burning out. I'll lend support so you can create the MFR practice you've always wanted. Learn how you can do it too, even if you live in a tiny town, and even if you're just starting out, and even if you've ran your practice for years. Let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the last episode of 2023. Wow, a lot has happened this year, and I thought I would take the opportunity to use this last episode of the year to do my year in review. So let's talk about all the things that have happened this last year. Let's start with January 2023. January of 2023, I taught Overcoming Objections for the first and only time live. We had about 55 people sign up for that training, and that, to me, then, a year ago, was a wild amount of people to sign up. It was my biggest sign up to date for a webinar. I taught that class and then had about 20 people join my first round of 2023, my 12-week coaching program as it was then. I then went on to teach a brand new Raise Your Rate Bootcamp live in April, and we had about 100 people sign up for that, and several people joined coaching, and several people just bought Raise Your Rate Bootcamp as a lifetime program, how I was selling it for a brief period of time. That was also very fun. It was around this time in April that I made the decision to change my programs completely. I had spent the last part of 2021 and all of 2022 and part of 2023 doing coaching, 12-week coaching programs. So I was having to kind of sell it like every 6 weeks. It was beginning to become clear that that wasn't scalable and something needed to be changed. So I quickly realized that there were a group of therapists who needed more support. I had a lot of people that were coming through my program and getting results, but it was taking not that it was taking a long time, but it was just the clients with the most success kept staying in coaching. So I was like, how do I come up with a program that supports clients who want to move quickly, but who also want continued support? So this is when I decided to create a brand new program that would be 12 months. And then I would create a mastermind for people who were going beyond 100K. So after like a year and a half of doing the coaching programs, that's where we were at. We had people who were brand new, and we had people who had been with me almost the entire time who just needed different support. So in June of 2023, I announced the changes and sold both programs, the 12-month and the mastermind. I kind of sold the mastermind secretly just to people who had coached with me before. And I had the biggest launch of my career as being the MFR coach. I had 2 six-figure launches in the month of June. So that means I sold over 100K of coaching for the 12-month and over 100K of coaching for the mastermind. It was wild. That was the most money. I mean, that was the amount of money I made in the entire year of 2022. So it was very interesting to make money that fast. It was very interesting, all the decisions that needed to be made. And it was very interesting, like how much ease there was around the selling of those programs because of how aligned I was with the results that I knew people would get and how fun it was to have that big of an influx of clients into the programs. It was just wild. I had to learn how to make decisions even quicker than I had ever had to make decisions before in my business. And I really had to learn how to zoom out and see what would be needed in my business for longer periods of time. So no longer was it appropriate for me to only think like 12 weeks in advance. I had to really expand out, create automations, and ensure that I had enough team support for the rapid growth occurring inside of the business. And I no longer had these cute little small 12-week groups. I had a large group, larger than I'd ever had before. And I had to ensure that I was the coach that could serve that many students. And so far, it's not only been not a problem, it has been such a pleasure to have a larger group. It's just not a problem. Over the summer of 2023, I took time off, but I also didn't. So I had some vacation time, but I also spent a lot of time hiring systems teams and creating a tracking system to allow us to track our program promise and see how many students follow the course curriculum and like what are our actual results? What can we really put our names on? We created a way to have the receipts for our program promise. And to date, students in the program have reported over $1 million in sales inside of their MFR businesses collectively. That's a pretty huge. It just shows how big of businesses MFR therapists can and do have and how much money they are capable of making. And like, we're just still in the beginning of this. This is like 40, 60, 80 MFR therapists collecting this amount of money. Like, imagine what happens when we have hundreds of people in this program. This data just helps us to see how long it actually takes for students to complete the foundations program and to start earning money in their practices if they're brand new, or how long it takes them to start scaling their practices if they've been in business for years. We also get to collect all of the wins, and we even have a feature for people to report struggles to us. So if they're having anything going wrong in their business or they're feeling stuck, they can report to us. And then if needed, we can develop new education to support them, which is just fantastic. And if we already have that support available, we can then just direct them exactly where to go to get the help that they need, or they can just get the help from us live on a live coaching call. I have become so much clearer in what my program does and what my program does not do. We have 1 hour per week coaching calls, and we stick to that. It's just very clean. And then we offer pop-up calls about once a month on topics of interest to add even more value and to help people even more deeply. They're super fun. And starting in 2024, we're going to be starting to roll out some new announcements, some new bonuses for students that are having 10K months. And we're building out our network page and highlighting our 100K students. There will always be more to come, and we are continuously improving the program based on what is needed to ensure that our students are successful in it. My goal is for every MFR therapist to be able to see 20 clients or less and make 100K or more per year. And my mission is for MFR therapists to be mainstream, for this to no longer be called an alternative therapy, and for people to have businesses everywhere in every town across the nation. And I'm going to continue with this mission until I see it happen. If we talk about the podcast, we've made over 155 episodes to date. And a lot of those happened in 2023 because I started doing a ton of mini episodes and bonus episodes and just creating more and more content so that people understand the importance of joining my programs and getting coached. And as of this recording, we have well over 50,000 downloads. I'm sure it's way more than that. I'm recording this at the beginning of December, so we get a lot of downloads, and it's so fun and fascinating to me too. But I just love it. It's just great. I love this other statistic too, that most MFR therapists actually find me first from the podcast, not from my book, not from word of mouth. They find me from the podcast. So that's really, really cool. The podcast was started in March of 2021 when I had no idea what I was doing or how hard it would be to put out weekly content like this. But here we are, 155 episodes later, going strong. I have an amazing podcast producer. You've heard me say her name. She's been on the podcast, but her name is Colette, and she does such an awesome job of making me sound articulate, cutting out all my ums, ands, likes, all the sticky noises from my mouth. She gets rid of all of that so that you can have a better experience listening to the podcast. And she just does a wonderful job. And I think one of the best decisions I made in my business was to hire her to manage this podcast before I ever could afford it and before I ever knew that I needed it. So we started with her, and she's part of my ride or die team, and it's just great. So the other cool thing that's happening with the podcast is we are now being featured on the MFR directory blog pages. I can't even believe that that's happened. I've had such great support from Mark Barnes, and I think it's just so imperative that you all get on the directory and that other MFR therapists can find you. If for no other reason, get on the directories so other MFR therapists can find you and so that patients can find you. If patients are already looking there for you, like they're very smart, patients and clients, and if they're not already there looking for you, if you let us as other therapists be able to discover you, we can let the clients know that you're there. And that's why it's so, so important. Let's talk a little bit about my book. My book, The MFR Coach's Guide to Having Your Own MFR Business, is being sold at John Barnes Seminars. They continue to sell my book, which also blows my mind. I have plans in 2024 to rewrite the book or write a new book. And if nothing else, we're going to do some small edits and change the cover in 2024. So if you want an original copy, you should get one now. If you aren't going to a seminar anytime soon, you can always get a copy on Amazon. And in addition to my book that I wrote, I've also written a 300-page workbook that my paid clients get inside my programs. And I really think that that book is a work of art. I also can't believe I've created that much content. I have created so many lessons, so many worksheets, so many programs. It's really a lot, and I'm really proud of it. And a lot of it has come in this last year. The MFR Coach's 12-month coaching program shows you how to work with 20 clients or less per week and create a 6-figure MFR business. MFR therapists from across the country are finding out exactly what it takes to become the therapist that can raise their rates, overcome objections, and sell MFR to anyone in any situation. This is a 12-month program designed to help you fast-track your business setup so you can leave your job, transition to MFR only, or tweak the practice that you already have, all while feeling great and overcoming obstacles with ease. In this program, you'll be able to identify exactly what to change in order to work the hours you love, command the rate you've always desired, and pay yourself a salary that supports your big life outside of the treatment room. It is my mission for you to never under-earn or burn out and to make MFR mainstream. It starts with you and your successful MFR business. Get on my waitlist at www.themfrcoach.com/waitlist to be the first to hear when it's time for you to join. I also taught how to sell MFR to anyone in any situation, and we had the biggest turnout of any webinar I've ever taught before. We had over 171 or 176 signups for that. And then just a huge conversion when we opened up the cart for people to join. So it was almost as big as June, which is amazing to be able to sell like that 2 times in a row, selling the program 2 times in a row. And every time we're able to do that, we're able to extend how long we know that we'll be in business for, how long we can leave the lights on, how long we can continue to offer coaching, and also gives us the budget for like what top-notch coaches or what things can we add to the program. So that's just really fun. It's really also fun to see the expansion of the therapists that are joining. Like now when therapists join, likely I don't know who they are, which just blows my mind. Because in the beginning, I kind of like, it was so small. I would like know everybody, I'd get to know everybody super soon. And now I'm seeing names that I don't recognize. And now once in the program, of course I do, but it's just super fun to see new people coming in, people that are brand new to MFR. And then also the amount of therapists that are old to MFR that are joining, that are finally seeing the value in joining my coaching program so that they can make their business even better, so that they can leave their jobs, so that they never burn out. Let's talk a little bit about social media accounts. So I have Instagram and Facebook. I also have LinkedIn and my Google listing. I post the same content across all of these platforms. Oh, I also have YouTube, which we haven't done much with, but that might expand in the future. So sometimes on YouTube, Meg, my assistant, will put on the videos of me doing the podcast on there. Now, most of the time I don't get through these podcasts very cleanly. So there's takes, and Colette does a lot of work to clean these up. So when I am capable of doing a clean cut and I look okay on camera, sometimes we will put those over on the YouTube channel. We haven't been doing it a lot lately. We might have plans to do it more in 2024. We'll see. We'll see about that. But on Instagram and Facebook, I've created over 1,000 posts by this point, and that's also crazy to me. It's a lot of work. I have a team now that does most of the posting for me, which is also super helpful because it frees my brain up to just be able to coach and to be creative inside the business versus having to come up with reels ideas and all of that content. So shout out to Meg for doing all of the social media from June until now. She's really stepped up and done a seamless job. I feel like she knows what I would say and she says it the way that I would say it. So It's really, really cool to watch. Our email list continues to be small and mighty with an average of 350 subscribers or less at any given time. I like to share this statistic because I'm super proud of it. I am at a level in the coaching industry where people making the same amount of money as me have thousands and thousands of people on their list. And I love to flex that I'm like, oh, I just did my last launch with like 220 people on my list. And it's not because we have a ton of unsubscribers. It's just because not that many people know that I even exist yet. So there's just endless potential here in the niche of being the coach for MFR therapists. So bring it on. If you want to get on my list and you're not on there, I would love to have you on there, but I'm also completely fine if my list stays small. It doesn't impact my earning potential in any sort of way. I have doubled my revenue. So speaking of that, I've doubled my revenue from last year, and I just hit $400,000 in my business this month. And we are headed into the year that I set as the year that I want to make $1 million. I'm going to turn 45 in 2024. And my goal when I turned 40 was to create $1 million by 45. No matter what, I will hit the goal of having $1 million business because I track my revenue all time, and I will hit that this year, no matter what, even if I just repeat what I do this year. So that's really fun. And you know that I'll be celebrating that milestone as just as big of a deal of hitting $1 million overall as I will when I hit $1 million in 1 year. And I don't know for sure, will I hit $1 million in 2024? I don't know. A lot of that depends on my ability to sell and the results that people in my programs are getting. Because if the people in my programs aren't doing well, I won't be doing well. So it's always my goal for my clients to be doing even better than I'm doing. I have had to hire more team help and more support this year than any other time in my business. My business has grown rapidly. I work with a big team now. It used to just be me doing everything. I never knew that I'd be able to work with this many contractors, with this many different personalities, and with this many different relationships, and to have it go on and be strong for this amount of time under this amount of pressure. And I have grown so much because of this. And I also want to talk about how 2023 has also been a year not only of wins, but of personal losses as well, and business losses. So let's talk about some of my personal losses. We've had people die in my family this year and last year too. My father-in-law's fiance passed in June, and she was one of my biggest supporters and cheerleaders. And I knew that the loss would be huge, but every time, like what I was just sharing, having a $400,000 revenue year, having the ability to hit $1 million in 2024, those kinds of milestones, I could just call her up and share them with her, and she would be so excited. The more money I make, the more I notice that I can't share that information with everybody. Not everybody is comfortable hearing that information or even knows what to do with the information when you share it with them. So having Carol pass away in June was a huge loss to me personally. She was one of my biggest supporters, and I just like to think that she's still supporting me and I can still tell her how I'm doing, and I still think about her all of the time. And I'm looking for my new supporters. Who are the people that support me as I grow on this journey and still see me as me and don't just see the dollar signs? So that's kind of my new thing to grow into. And then in September, I lost my grandfather. I spent so much of my 40s being so proud of having a living both grandfather and grandmother. And luckily, I still have my grandmother. But the loss of my grandfather has been huge. I really feel like I get my entrepreneurial skills from him. At least I like to romanticize that that's where I get it from. He always owned grocery stores when I was growing up, and I was never old enough to work as a cashier, which I am still pissed about. But my sister got to do it, and it was so fun to see her doing that when we would go and visit from out of town. He was crazy, and he always would rent reindeer and be in parades with these reindeer. Like, I don't know why, but that's what we would do. It was highly dangerous, but I loved being a part of that. He was just kind of extra. And I think I get my extraness from him. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud to be his granddaughter. And even though he was in the depths of dementia towards the end of his life, I will always remember him as a leader, as a risk taker, and as a man of integrity. And you couldn't tell me anything different. And he was the type of guy who just was extra. He was always doing funny things. I remember him driving a go-kart and having a massive accident when we were little. Those are the kinds of things that he did. And I think it's important to note that these losses, it's not that different. Life is 50-50. And no matter how much money or how much success or how many people you help, there will always be losses. There will be heartache and there will be challenges. I've had to overcome anxiety or bring it with me on this journey, especially this year. I've had health issues this year. I've had people say terrible things to me and about me this year. It's been one of the scariest years of my life for my growth personally. And I've also created a business beyond my wildest dreams. And I've gotten to watch my children grow and expand because of the extra things I've been able to provide for them because of how well my business has done. And because of my ability to be a better parent with the skills I've developed, not only from being an MFR therapist, but from being a coach to MFR therapists. It's been a truly wild ride. And I'm just incredibly thankful to our MFR community. I'm also incredibly thankful for MFR seminars and John Barnes and for the work that he does in the world. And to Mark Barnes for the work that he does to move MFR forward and into the mainstream by creating the directory. It truly takes each one of us to decide we are MFR therapists and to decide we aren't weird and that what we do in the world isn't weird and to go after what we want. I am in awe of all of the MFR therapists who are out there working to never under-earn or burn out, who have decided they can have big and amazing dreams and that they too can become high income earners. We are really changing the world. It is true. And I love it. I just want to wish you all happy holidays, happy new year, happy end of the year. I hope that you two are reviewing your year. What did you do this year? What did you not do this year? And what do you want to do differently in 2024 to make it awesome? I want to challenge you, if you've been in your comfort zone for all of 2023, to consider moving yourself out of that comfort zone to make a massive change in your life and in your MFR business. And I would love to be your coach to help you do that. So make sure you get on my email list. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and social media platforms like Facebook so that you never miss out on an opportunity when it opens to join my coaching program so that your business never under-earns and so that you never set yourself up to burn out. There are so many things that are possible for you if you just let yourself believe that the possibilities are endless. And one of my favorite quotes came from one of my clients this year, where she said that what she once thought was her ceiling is now her basement. And she has to dream even bigger to come up with ideas of the things that she wants to do because she has so much availability for her to reach whatever goal she has next. And I just love that. And I want it for everybody. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for being on this journey. Thank you for listening to me throughout 2023 and before 2023, and for listening to me as we continue to go. I love being the MFR coach, and I love you all. I'll see you in 2024. It's going to be awesome. Bye. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a minute and rate and review the podcast. I appreciate it. For more information, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The MFR Coach. And check out my website, www.themfrcoach.com, for more information. If you are currently not working 20 hours or less and making six figures in your MFR business, I want to help you change that. Make sure you tune into the show and get on my email list so you never miss out on important trainings and information. To be the first to find out when we are enrolling next for my 12-month Business Foundations coaching program, get on that email list at www.themfrcoach.com/join. Inside this program, you'll learn how to raise your rate, overcome objections, and sell MFR. You'll become the MFR therapist that never under-earns and never burns out. It's up to us to make MFR mainstream,
and it starts with you and your successful MFR practice. See you next week.